The enigma of money, trapped in a 40-hour fantasy, trading time for empty paper. Money, often the subject of intense admiration, fierce contention, and relentless pursuit, is in essence an abstraction, a symbolic representation of value. At its core, we are fighting, not for tangible wealth like shiny metals anymore, but for the idea of value encapsulated in paper and digital codes that represent debt, not assets. Yet this currency has the astonishing ability to drive human behavior, shaping economies and societies in both positive and troubling ways. So, what does it truly mean to have money? And why do we attribute so much significance to it? One might start with an inquiry not into the metal or paper itself, but into the concept of value. What makes something valuable, and how is it that value has transformed from tangible assets to intangible promises? To contextualize this enigma, consider two distinct eras. One, the establishment of the Lydian coinage system in the 7th century BCE, and the other, the Nixon administration's 1971 abandonment of the gold standard. Each of these pivotal moments marked a radical shift in our perception of value, demonstrating how money evolved from substance to symbol. Historical precedents in the evolution of value. The Lydians, ancient inhabitants of modern-day Turkey, are credited with creating the first true currency system around 600 BCE. With the innovation of coins crafted from electrum, a naturally occurring alloy of gold and silver, the Lydians introduced a revolutionary concept, standardized monetary units. This development represented a departure from barter and trade, providing a medium that held a commonly agreed-upon value, facilitating easier transactions across different goods and services. The Lydian coin was revolutionary because it was backed by a tangible asset, precious metals, meaning that its value was intrinsic, or at least correlated with the worth of the metal itself. Fast forward to 1971, and we observe an equally radical shift in the nature of money when President Richard Nixon unpegged the US dollar from the gold standard. This transition marked the end of the Bretton Woods system and propelled the world into a new monetary paradigm, fiat currency. Unlike Lydian coins, modern fiat currency is not backed by any physical asset but by the government's decree. It relies solely on collective trust and an assumed yet unfounded value. Thus, in a sense, we are no longer fighting over shiny metals, as our ancestors did, but over promises, over trust in a system that offers paper in exchange for human labor. The mystique of value in modern money. Today, our currency consists largely of numbers on screens or notes printed with symbolic worth. But why do we attribute any value to something that, in reality, is just paper or an electronic blip? The answer lies in our collective belief system. We are participants in a shared illusion of value. But an illusion becomes dangerous when it stops serving a collective benefit and starts exploiting our labor. Let us consider the concept of value in a contemporary context. For many, money is synonymous with self-worth. To be wealthy is not only a statement of assets, but also a judgment of character. We equate a person's success and contributions to society based on financial earnings, regardless of whether those earnings were achieved through ethical means or contributed positively to society. Interestingly, it is not the paper that holds value. It is the human process of valuation, the knowledge and skill used to create things of worth. For example, take a blank piece of paper. In itself, it is mundane, devoid of inherent value. But in the hands of a skilled writer, it can become a manuscript or a blueprint, something that bears intellectual or practical significance. Value is created, not found. In this way, money itself is valuable only because of the intricate web of trust, agreements, and collective belief that we place in it. The illogical pursuit, exchanging finite time for worthless paper. One of the most unsettling aspects of our monetary system is the mechanism by which we acquire this valuable currency, often through trading our most finite asset, time. This trade-off reveals the bizarre underpinnings of our economic system. Time, which is precious and irreplaceable, is exchanged for money, which is only as valuable as our collective illusion allows it to be. The 40-hour workweek, an arbitrary convention established during the Industrial Revolution, exemplifies this skewed valuation. Rooted in the need to regulate labor, it was a compromise meant to ensure worker productivity without excessive exploitation. However, in today's knowledge-based economy, where the nature of work is often mental rather than purely physical, the rigid structure of the 40-hour week feels antiquated and counterproductive. If the task at hand requires only 10 hours, why stay for 40? Animals in nature, after all, don't clock in. They work when they need to, focusing on survival tasks like hunting or shelter building, stopping when the work is done. Imagine if a lion was required to hunt for an arbitrary 8 hours a day, regardless of hunger or need. Ridiculous, right? Yet, humans continue to uphold this convention, often in settings where performance, creativity, and problem-solving are stifled rather than enhanced by time constraints. The modern workplace and the value of busyness. Consider the case of remote work policies that emerged during the COVID-19 pandemic. Many businesses initially feared a decline in productivity. Paradoxically, data later revealed that employees working from home could be more productive as they had the flexibility to work according to their natural rhythms and needs. Despite this evidence, companies are increasingly insisting on a return to the office, not because of any objective increase in productivity, but because of the deeply ingrained belief in the appearance of work as valuable. This attachment to busyness, to the physical presence of employees, is another expression of our confusion about value. Just as we mistake money as an intrinsic good, we mistake being at work as inherently valuable. But time spent is not inherently productive or valuable. True value arises from accomplishing meaningful work or producing something of worth. If the goal is simply to be busy, then we are wasting precious human potential on empty tasks. Refocusing value on human potential. If we look critically at our current societal structure, we notice a profound misalignment between where we place value and what truly benefits society. Rather than cultivating individual skills, creativity, and the ability to contribute uniquely, we commodify labor, reducing individuals to units of productivity. Imagine a society where individuals are encouraged to nurture their creative and intellectual capabilities, where value is derived not from hours clocked, but from contributions made. Perhaps it is time to reassess our understanding of value. Instead of a myopic focus on monetary accumulation and the appearance of productivity, we should focus on fostering environments where people can contribute meaningfully. Just as a camera gains value through the vision of the person behind it, or a pen becomes valuable in the hands of a writer, so does society progress when individuals are empowered to add their unique worth. Toward a value-centered future. Our current monetary system, while deeply entrenched, is ultimately a reflection of collective choice. Money, detached from any intrinsic value, is only as meaningful as the purpose it serves. By shifting our emphasis from money as a measure of self-worth to a broader sense of human potential, we can begin to construct a society where value is no longer conflated with appearance or symbols, but with meaningful contributions that enhance collective well-being. In the end, the question is not what money is, but rather what it could represent if we aligned our values with our highest aspirations as individuals and as a society. After all, Even a lion would laugh at the concept of working just for the sake of clocking in. Value. In essence, we are engaging in an unequal exchange, where something as precious and irreplaceable as time is traded for something that only holds worth because society says so. This is the crux of what makes our economic system feel hollow to many. It asks people to pour their lives into pursuits that yield, at best, symbolic rewards rather than fostering a deeper, more fulfilling relationship with time and purpose. A modern example of this unequal exchange is evident in the gig economy, where workers trade not only their skills, but also flexibility and mental bandwidth for wages that often fluctuate unpredictably. Gig workers, from rideshare drivers to freelance designers, are particularly vulnerable to the whims of market demand, often finding themselves working inconsistent hours for modest pay. They are paid by the hour or task, but the value of that hour is constantly shifting based on demand, platform rules, and economic forces outside their control. This instability illustrates the fragility of the value we assign to both time and money. One day, a skill or service may be lucrative. The next, it might barely meet minimum wage. Furthermore, our society often measures the value of individuals not by their contributions or creative potential, but by their income or net worth, assigning an outsized importance to money as the defining attribute of personal success. We see this in the way that high-income earners or celebrity figures are often celebrated, while essential workers, whose labor keeps society functioning, are undervalued. This cultural fixation on financial worth over actual value created or social good has profound consequences, reinforcing a system where wealth, however it's obtained, becomes synonymous with respectability. Reimagining value beyond currency. Given these contradictions, it is worth considering a reorientation of our value systems, one that prizes skills, creativity, and contribution over sheer accumulation. Imagine a society where the worth of individuals and their efforts were measured by their impact, by the knowledge they generate, or by the well-being they contribute to others. If we could shift our economic priorities to recognize value in these forms, we might find ourselves less driven by the accumulation of wealth and more by the pursuit of fulfillment. As with the Lydian coins and the Weimar Republic's inflated marks, our concept of money is a human-made construct, and as such, it is susceptible to change. If society can evolve its perception of money from tangible assets to symbolic debt, it is equally possible to imagine a future where we redefine worth in a way that prioritizes the inherent value of individuals and their contributions. In such a world, we could unshackle ourselves from the arbitrary 40-hour workweek and instead focus on meaningful work that enhances society as a whole. Breaking free from the illusion. Ultimately, understanding money means recognizing it for what it is, a powerful yet constructed symbol that serves as a tool for trade and value assignment, but not a true measure of worth. To question money is to question our broader societal values and to ask ourselves why we place worth in things that, at the end of the day, are only as valuable as we collectively agree them to be. As we move forward, we might seek to construct an economic system that values human potential as much as it does financial gain. This would mean acknowledging that skills, time, and creativity hold intrinsic value, separate from their monetary equivalent. It's a shift that would require reimagining our priorities, yes, but perhaps it's precisely the change needed to liberate us from a system where, as Oscar Wilde wryly noted, we know the price of everything and the value of nothing.